friends, welcome to another episode of Tea Time with Maggie. If you're new here, this is only our second episode of Tea Time with Maggie. I am Maggie, obviously. But anyways, it's just where I sit down with a cup of tea or coffee. Today I'm drinking coffee, and I discuss the book I have most recently read. I give my thoughts, my reviews, books I think you would like if you enjoyed this one or vice versa. So let's get into the video. Full disclosure, this is my fourth time filming this video. The first three I did all in one day, but every time I filmed it, I just wasn't happy. And based on the fact that I am once again here filming this video another time, I'm still not happy. So hopefully fourth time's a charm. So for today's Tea Time with Maggie, I will be discussing The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow? Not quite sure. So what the little description on the inside says is, when one enters a door, one must be brave enough to see the other side. In a sprawling mansion filled with peculiar treasures, January Scalar is a curiosity herself. As the ward of the wealthy Mr. Locke, she feels little different from the artifacts that decorate the halls, carefully maintained, largely ignored, and utterly out of place. Then she finds a strange book, a book that carries the scent of other worlds and tells a tale of secret doors of love, adventure, and danger. Each page turn reveals impossible truths about the world, and January discovers a story increasingly entwined with her own. I first read this book at the recommendation of my mom. If you're watching this video, hi Mom. Anyways, she read the book. She chose it because of the cover, which, you know, judge a book by its cover, oops. Everyone does it. And it has a gorgeous cover, but she read it and she was like, Maggie, you need to read this book. I think you would really enjoy it. And she was right. I really enjoyed it. My rating on this book would probably be a 4.75 out of 5. I absolutely loved it. I would totally read it again, but I would not. But the reason I'm not giving it a full 5 out of 5 stars is that while I did enjoy it, it has a very slow start. It took me a little while to really get into it. I would say about 100 pages in, when you finally really get into it and you get like addicted to the story, you need to know what happens next. But I'm docking that 0.25 because it was just a bit of a slow start and it took me a little while to get to that point. What I loved about this story is it's one of those stories where it's so fantastical but mixed with our everyday world that it makes you kind of wonder what would life be like if this is what the world really was going, like if this was what was going on. What would I do in this situation? And it makes you like wish that this is the world you lived in, even though it's not. But I also enjoyed how through the whole story you're kind of discovering who January is at the same time that January is discovering who January is. So it was really fun to like make my guesses and to see like where it went and if I was right or not. And I was just saying, I didn't predict everything, but there was one thing that I was like, you know what, Mom, I think this is what happens. And she's like, oh, you think that's what happens? And is what happened. But I just really enjoyed discovering who January was, and it was just interesting to be discovering her while at the same time she's discovering herself. And then I said book recommendations based off of this. If you have read these books or you've read 10,000 Doors of January and looking for another read, there are two that off the top of my head I think you would really enjoy, and that is if you have read Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which I will get it off of my shelf. If you have read Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, then I think you would really like The 10,000 Doors of January. It's got kind of that same impossible other worlds, or actually possible thing about it. And it's got that same like creating mystical worlds that blend with the world we live in, which I find really interesting, personally. So yeah, if you enjoyed 10,000 Doors of January and you're looking for another read, then I would highly recommend this one. And then going along with that, there is a classic that I would recommend if you enjoyed 10,000 Doors of January, or if you enjoyed the classic I'm about to mention and you would like 10,000 Doors, and that is Alice in Wonderland, because once again, this book was all about the impossibles, and she stopped believing in the impossibles, and it was just her discovering all of the possibilities that she was told were impossible, but they're really possible. That was a lot of possibles. And Alice in Wonderland kind of has that same story about it, and I think that they go hand in hand kind of pretty well. I think that if you enjoyed one, you would likely enjoy the other. And going along with that, when I watch, that was my dog. When I read, I listen to movie soundtracks a lot, because I feel like if you can find a movie that has the same kind of mood to it, then it matches the mood of the book you're reading very well. And for 10,000 Doors of January, I listened to two, and it was the movies that went along with the books I just mentioned, because even though neither of those movies are perfect, they captured the mood, like the soundtracks of it captured the mood of the book pretty well. So I listened to the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children soundtrack, which I listened to the most between the two, and I listened to the Tim Burton movie version of the soundtrack for Alice in Wonderland, and it worked pretty well in my opinion with the book. If you don't like doing that, then you don't have to. I'm just saying that that's what I did, and I really liked it. But overall, I would say that this is an incredible book, and now I will be thinking, like, this is a book that's sticking in my mind, and I'm thinking about, like, what if? And if you are looking for a good read, then I highly recommend it. As I said, 4.75 stars out of 5. Did I just say out of 5 twice? I think I did. Anyways, also, if you like to read certain books at certain times of the year, then I would say, I read this in the summer and it was good, but I would say this is definitely a good fall/winter read. It's the kind of book you just want to cozy up with in the cold time. But that's all I have to say about this book. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be back soon, I think. Even though I usually just talk about books, I will be back with another video, and this one will be about school. I just graduated, and I'm going to give a short video on like my top tips for studying and getting through high school. But anyways, as I was saying, I hope you enjoyed the video. I will be back soon. Goodbye, my friends.